If you want to start enrolling in my life, drop the fake accent, Dorit. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review episode 14 of The Real Bullies of Beverly Hills. We start the episode off at a garage sale basically, with Lisa thrift shopping with her daughters and one of their boyfriends who pulls up in a nice car. And they show up and Lisa's just so lost and she's like, wait, where's this car coming from? Like, who gave you this? And they're like, oh, well, basically our friend hooked us up with it. The boyfriend, his name is Eli or something like that. And he's like, yes, this is one of the cars I've always wanted. And then Lisa's like, well, okay, that's cool. I mean, don't tell me how you got this situation under wraps. But anyways, come to my garage so we could go thrift shopping. So she goes in there with all three of them and she's showing them all the dresses that she used to own, you know, from back in the day that she used to wear to award shows or a special occasion. And she's like, oh, look at this one. This one has a cum stain on it. This one has a tomato sauce on it. This one has a little bit of ketchup smudged on it, but it's okay. I kind of want y'all to try it on. Go ahead, try it on for me. And then, so the girls go and they try it on and they come out and they're like kind of like walking a runway in front of Lisa. And is it me or it's crazy that I had to rewatch it twice? I'm like, they're like 18 and 19, right? But they look like they're in their early 30s. I'm like, damn, like, did they get any work done or is this just a new thing? Like, what are they feeding children nowadays? And Lisa's just, you know, she's like, y'all look so nice. Y'all look so pretty. I can't believe this. Do you want a lip kit? Then she adds that her husband, Harry, wouldn't be surprised if Delilah actually married the guy that she's with now. And then she also foaming at the mouth and she's like, yes, Amelia, she's with Scott Disick. Scott Disick? I mean, she couldn't go for Harry Styles or anybody else. I'm like, stop. I'm like, Lisa, you know you're foaming at the mouth. You know you are so excited. You are so fucking wet that she is with Scott Disick. You know you love it. And it's crazy that she's using her daughters and their relationship for a storyline. I mean, did we really have to see this scene? I mean, we could have just cut to the next one right away. And she's telling them, I'm gonna have like a lip kit thing, like a little launch party, and Crystal's gonna, you know, host it at her house because I'm assuming that she's scarred from coming over and, you know, her whole fight with Sutton and everything. But it's nice that Crystal's doing that for her. And I do like the floaties though, like the floaties in the shape of a lip or whatever. Like, I think that that is cute. Then we head over to Crystal's house where she's in the kitchen cooking with the woman that helps her around the house. And then we get somebody at the door and Crystal goes over and answers it. And of course it's Doorbell. And she walks in, but she's accompanied by her favorite guest, the fake ass accent, and she's like, hello, Crystal, hey mama, how are you? Oh mama, you look so nice, mama, how are you? And I just wish that Crystal would have just stopped her right there and would have been like, why are you talking like that? Can you leave the accent outside and then come in and leave your shoes at the door too? Like, let's go to the kitchen. So then they go to the kitchen and then her and Crystal are talking and Dorit was quick to put it out there like, you know, I really don't think and I don't appreciate how, you know, everybody's kind of jumping on Erica, especially at that Christmas dinner. And then Crystal, I'm like, Crystal was just like, yeah, neither do I. I mean, I don't disagree. And I'm like, all right, Crystal. And Dorit's like, yeah, I just don't like that. You know, it's really not the right time to attack Erica like that. You know, Garcelle, specifically, I just feel like she's been taking too many jabs at me over the last couple months. And then I'm glad that they put the flashbacks because we see in the flashbacks that she has not been taking jabs at you, nor has she been trying to be mean or anything to you. She has just been holding you accountable to the bullshit that comes out of your mouth. Like, you've been saying, this is the third episode already, Dorit, that you have put your own foot in your mouth. So it's just like, I'm not sure what moment you're looking for. And the fact that she's going after Garcelle out of anybody here, like, that says a lot about you because you see how all the women on the whole cast acts. And Garcelle just keeps everybody accountable. She doesn't do anything, nor does she come at anybody's neck for fun. You know, Garcelle is not the type to just come at you and call you X, Y, and Z just to be a mean girl. She's not like that compared to your other friends that you should be calling a bully. Then she starts setting the stage up for later on between her versus Garcelle. And she's like, you know, I think I need to call her out on it. And I need to kind of put her in her place and let her know that I don't like that. So what better moment to do it than at, you know, the lip kit thing that we're going to go to later on. And I'm like, Dorit, nobody is scared of you. Like, I'm not sure what these women are drinking on this show that they come off as if they're intimidating. Nobody is scared of you, Dorit. Like, what are you gonna do? Get your Louis Vuitton high heel and try to hit somebody? Like, what are you gonna do? I mean, I really can't see anybody being scared of Dorit. I mean, what is she gonna do? Like, honestly, what is she gonna do? Like, she's gonna pull out her Louis Vuitton sword or her Louis Vuitton shield and like go to battle with you? Like, I don't see that. So Dorit, please stop. And like huffing and puffing. You are not the big bad wolf. You are one of the three little pigs. And then we head over to Erica's box, as she likes to call it. You know, it's so terrible. It's so horrible. I mean, it's the worst home ever. And this scene was so rich. I mean, she has her vacuum cleaner pretending to be Cinderella. I mean, there's nothing really much to vacuum, but I need to look like I'm vacuuming something so people could feel sympathy for me. Ooh, a quarter. But yeah, so that's it. Did you get my good angle from over here? Yeah, did you? Okay, I'm gonna go wipe the toilets next, and then I'm gonna go clean the refrigerator. Make sure you have enough footage, okay? Because I need the cops to feel sympathy for me. But yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself anymore. And I'm like, please stop with the whole Cinderella act and the whole woe is me. Like it's gotten so old at this point. I mean, we're on episode 14 and she's still doing it. At this point, I'm just waiting for her to try to make a grilled cheese on national TV. Or for her to fry some bologna or whatever and feed some rats or something. Or go make friends in the forest. And then Lisa makes her way to her house as well. And of course, Lisa's always on 10. I mean, that's one thing I could appreciate about her. That her energy is always at a 10 and she's always excited. And she has a bag and she's like, you know, it's Kyle's birthday and I have the gift ready and everything, you know, let's get ready. And they're sitting down or whatever. And then eventually Kyle ends up coming over. And I'm surprised that Kyle didn't make a bigger thing out of her birthday, or she didn't throw some kind of bigger birthday party for herself or whatever. And they're sitting down, they're like, here's your gift. And then, you know, at the same time, Erica is opening a bottle of rosé. And she's like, you know, well, they can't take this away from me. And I'm like, I know the cops are outside around the corner from this house. Just like, okay, so let's take this into fact. Okay, so she has rosé. Okay, and she could afford fur jackets. Okay, so this is interesting. This is going to be even more juicier. Eventually, they start throwing Sutton right underneath the bus because they start talking about what happened at the Christmas party. And they're like, yeah, Sutton just kind of wants to protect her reputation and her name. She doesn't want to be associated with you because, you know, she's scared of, you know, the things that might be attached to you, attached to her. And Erica's just like, what is this? A small town in Georgia? Like, why does she give a fuck? Like, why does she care? And I'm like, Erica, not everybody's going to be like Lisa or even Kyle's to a certain extent that they just want to go down in flames with you. I mean, obviously, there's a reason you got dropped from Rihanna's Fenty line, right? I mean, your reputation holds weight, especially if you're known out there. And Sutton made it very clear last episode that she's attached to many big organizations with money and people of importance or richness or whatever. So of course she doesn't want her name thrown in dirt. And just because Lisa is desperate enough or scared of something from you, she's gonna stick by you, doesn't mean that Sutton has to do the same thing. She's just really, really annoyed that Sutton just refuses to like let that go. Like, I can't believe she's not buying my lies. Like, why is she not buying my lies? Why does she not want to come to jail with me? I am so disrespected. And what's crazy is at the reunion, eventually when Erica sees all this footage, I mean, I'm pretty sure she's at home right now watching all these episodes and she's probably like, wow, so wait a minute, it wasn't just Sutton, because that's what the other women are basically doing. They're just throwing Sutton right underneath the bus, when in fact all of them participated in that conversation and agreed to a certain extent. And they're just lying to Erica's face like, yeah, no, we would never agree with this. I don't get it. I don't get why Sutton is doing that. But, you know, wait till the reunion and let's see what Erica has to say then. And especially, I want to see what she has to say to Dorit. And then Kyle asks Erica, so did you want to leave for a long time? Like, what was the plan? What was going on? And Erica's like, well, I mean, it was just one of those stormy nights that me and Tom had just finished making love. And then next thing you know, he went to the bathroom to go shower and clean himself up. And then I went through his phone and then I opened it and he had the new iPhone. And then there it was. Everything was there. We all remember when she posted those old messages and pictures of whoever or whatever on her Instagram not too long ago. So I'm assuming that that's what she probably found. And then she also added that she was trying to financially stabilize herself. But I'm wondering at what point though? I mean, Did you try to financially stabilize yourself when you saw that he was going down in flames, and then you were like, oh, let me take the opportunity to get money now to financially stabilize myself? Or were you trying to do that before this all broke out in the media? So then we head back over to Crystal's house, where she has the whole setup and everything for Lisa's lip kit party thing that she has going on. And everything looks so nice. I mean, the presentation looks really pretty. Everything is so cute. And again, those floaties are in the pool. I really do like those floaties. Like, I love those lips floating. They look so comfortable. And then eventually Lisa comes and she greets Crystal, and then we have the other woman, and I'm like, who the hell is that? I thought that was Kelly Clarkson for a second. I'm like, is she the new housewife? Is she the new friend of the wives or something? Like, who is she? But she ends up being the party planner. I'm like, oh, okay. So then Lisa shows up, and Lisa looks good. She looks pretty. Again, every time she switches up her hairstyles to anything else, she does look good. You know, I mean, I like her original hairstyle, the one that she's known for, but when she switches it up, it looks good too. And she's like, you know, I couldn't have chosen a better time than to try to do this type of business. You know what I mean? During a pandemic, during where everybody has to wear a mask and everything. But you know, I'm just like a roach. I never stop. And I'm like, a roach, you said? Like, okay, let me get my sandal and squat. And then what was even more shadier was in her confessional, she's talking or whatever, and then a bug flew into her mouth or her lip, and she's like, oh, wait, let me get my little Lisa Beauty. And as soon as she took it out, they were like, nope. They were like, psych, bitch. I'm like, damn, y'all already promoting the whole thing. You couldn't just let her put the little lipstick to the camera at least for a second. I mean, the minute that she took it out, they were like, nope. Andy was like, okay, cut to camera B, quickly. We're not gonna promote shit that she has going on. So then eventually the rest of the women start showing up, and Garcelle looks really, really nice in her suit. We see Kathy showing up, and she has her initials in her purse. And you know, they're all sitting down and they're having drinks. And did y'all see the party planner lady? Kelly Clarkson lookalike? She's just sitting next to Lisa, and she's just having drinks with them, as Kyle, also who arrives, is telling them about her business with her daughter and her boyfriend and everything. And she's just sitting there so relaxed. The party planner, she's just sitting there so relaxed with a drink, like as if she's a diamond holder. Look at her trying to get a friend role for next season. I mean, I see what she's trying to do. She's trying to come for somebody's diamond. It's possibly Dorit. And they eventually see Dorit show up. And Dorit, I wasn't sure what she was wearing. It was kind of like she was wearing a straitjacket into a dress, kind of. I'm like, is this fashion? And then speaking of fashion, then we see Erica show up looking like the Blue Power Ranger, and she shows up and she heads over to where all the women are at the bar, and each drink has their own special name to it, you know, like their own special customized name. And she, of course, she chooses the one where she's like, can I get the no apologies? Garcelle was all of us when she was like in her confessional. Of course, you would choose that drink. I mean, coincidence? I think not. I mean, at this point, she couldn't make it any more obvious that she's trying to be a target to the police. I mean, she could have chosen a drink called, oh, can I get the 911 on the rocks? Oh, no, can I get the I'm guilty, but with a little bit of vinegar to it? Can I get the police handcuffs drink with a little bit of ice and some orange juice on the side? Thank you. Sutton also shows up, and they're all having drinks, and they're like, oh, should we go have dinner at the dinner table? And they all eventually go to the table. And then this is where shit hits the fan, because Dorit has the audacity. She has the nerves. I mean, Lisa literally let her borrow her nerves from last week and the week before that. She's like, Dorit, do you want to borrow my nerves? Here you go. And Dorit had the nerves. She had Lisa's nerves, because I know what she was trying to do with that slick ass comment when she looked over at Crystal and she was like, oh, Garcelle, you know, looking at Crystal, and she was like, oh, thank you, Garcelle, for this lovely dinner. You know, this whole thing is so nice. And they're like, that's Crystal, that's not Garcelle. And I'm like, Dorit, stop playing stupid. You know exactly that was Crystal, and you were just looking for a moment to bring up Garcelle. And she's like, oh, well, you know what? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Crystal. I meant Garcelle. Garcelle, I kind of wanted to talk to you about some things that I have been, you know, kind of troubling with myself. And I've been writing it in my Louis Vuitton diary, and I kind of want to address it with you right now. Do you mind? And Garcelle was like, go ahead. I mean, tell me what's going on. And then Dorit just, I mean, obviously we see that Dorit and dinners are just not a good combination, because it's the third dinner in a row. Like the third dinner in a row in the third week that she just puts her foot in her mouth. I'm like, Dorit, at this point, just stay quiet. Like, every time she opens up her mouth, it's just a bunch of bullshit and trash. She starts off by saying, you know, Garcelle, I just think that, you know, I just feel like you've been a little too harsh and too abrasive with me. I just feel like you've been a little bit too, you know, extreme with me, and you've really been trying to put me in my place week after week, and I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that at all. And I don't know what's going on. Are we friends? I mean, what's really going on, Garcelle? And Garcelle's just so confused because she's like, okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about here. Like, she's probably like in her head, you mean all the moments I hold you accountable? Is that what the problem is? Because that really is what the issue is. Dorit does not like being her hand in the fire, you know? Like, she doesn't like being put on the Erica Jane spot either. Like, if she says some bullshit, Garcelle is quick to call her out, regardless of your friends or not. That's what friends are for. And Garcelle continues listening to Dorit's BS coming out of her mouth. And I love that she was like, well, about the Christmas dinner, okay, I understand what you're saying. I was right about that, but go ahead. I like how she quickly just jabbed that in there. And then Door Jam continues to tell Garcelle, I have a problem with you being honest. If you really want to be part of this group, you need to be honest. And I'm like, I know you're not the one talking, Dorit. Like, Garcelle is the first one that you would think of that keeps the whole thing honest on this show. She's the one that calls everybody out and asks the right questions on this show. Unlike all the rest of you who are just like, oh, I'm scared of Erica, or let's cover up lies, or let's, you know, deflect and let's talk about something else instead of the main issue. So, Dorit, the real person you should be having this conversation with is sitting right next to you or right across from you, which is Erica. That's who you really should be talking to. And instead, you pick on Garcelle. Why? Because you think that she's going to be an easy target? That was your first mistake. Like, Garcelle is going to chew you up. And it's so unfortunate that Garcelle has to kind of like water herself down a little bit because she probably doesn't want to come off as a stereotypical angry black woman, because Dorit is kind of like provoking her, and it's just like, you're talking a lot of shit, Dorit, that is wrong. And if Garcelle says anything back to you, or if she comes at you like crazy and then you start crying, or you're like, oh my God, where did this come from? I don't understand why Garcelle attacked me with words out of nowhere. Then to the viewers, it's gonna look crazy like, oh, Garcelle just came at her out of nowhere and she kind of just ambushed her out of nowhere, when in reality, it was really you who started the whole thing. And you kept poking at her until you deserved whatever Garcelle gave you. Garcelle's reply to Dorit is like, well, I just think that my issue with you is that you just never shut the fuck up. Like, you never stop talking. It's always like running miles with you. And then Kathy's like, yeah, it's something that you never heard before. I'm pretty sure you heard it before. I'm like, Kathy, stay over there. And Kyle also says the same thing. I mean, she's like, it's kind of like catching a connect flight. It's kind of like catching a bus. I mean, at some point, you need Dora the Explorer to get to the point when talking to Dorit. And I love that Erica in her confessional, she was like, yeah, I mean, I do have my moments where I'm just talking to Dorit and sometimes I'm just looking into space. And then they put the little bubble next to her of her dog, of her like checking to see if the door is locked. I'm like, you shady ass producers. And then Erica goes back to reality like, oh yeah, Dorit, I completely agree with you, yes. Because Dorit does talk a lot, and I'm just convinced that she loves to hear herself talk just to hear herself talk. And then Dorit continues to push the buttons, and she's like, well, you had a problem with Kyle, a problem that was very legit, that they actually, you know, fixed together. So I don't get what Dorit's problem was with that. I'm like, that's none of your business or concern. Do you even understand what Garcelle's issue was with that and Kyle and the whole Cherry situation? And she's like, oh yeah, and then the whole thing that happened on our trip or whatever, and then that's when Garcelle had it, and she was like, fuck you with that. And I wish that all Garcelle needed to sprinkle at the very end of that was, fuck you, you raggedy ass bitch. Like, all I was waiting for her was to call her a bitch so badly. I'm like, Garcelle, just do it. That would have been the perfect time to just throw a fucking drink at Dorit. And her straight jacket dress. Because I'm like, Dorit, you are just trying it, and I'm not sure if she really thinks that she's that it girl or something, or if she really thinks she's the baddest bitch by trying to confront Garcelle. I really, really wish I could understand what was in Dorit's head to, you know, think like, oh, you know what I'm gonna do now? I'm gonna try to work for my diamond and I'm gonna come for Garcelle. I think the audience and everybody else would have, reacted better if you would have came at Erica. Like we probably would have been, like, woo, Team Dorit if you would have came at the right person, but you're coming at the wrong person for no reason and all your points are just stupid. And then we see Kyle. She's looking like the ghost face from the movie Scream. She's just like, like she could not believe anything that was going on. I'm like, damn, your Botox can move? I mean, I'm surprised she can make some face expressions at this point. And then Garcelle gets up and she starts leaving. And that's the thing I don't like, because I think this is her third time that she's walking away from a situation like this where things get hot. But I feel like she does that because if she stays in the situation a little bit more, she's gonna say too much. And then she's gonna look, again, like I said, like the angry black woman in front of all these white women, of course. No matter who's in the wrong, they're gonna look at Garcelle like as if she's the problem. And she gets up, and then Dorit's like, "Oh, is that really the right way to go? I mean, you're not even gonna sit here and talk." I'm like, you are over here just provoking her and talking so much crap and lies, and then you want her to like talk to you? Like, no. And what's crazy is that Garcelle was right there in her face. She walked around her, and I'm like, you're so close to her, Garcelle. And again, I'm not one to choose violence. Okay, yes, I am again. And if I was Garcelle, I would have just sucker punched her. Like, you're right there. Just slap the shit out of her right there. Like, you were right there, Garcelle. I mean, if I was you, I would have just hit her with my purse at least. Oh, I'm sorry, Dorit. I didn't mean. Oh, get up. Come on now. Get up and let's have lunch. Eventually, Garcelle manages to come back and she sits down back at the dinner table. And Crystal takes the conversation and she's like, well, Garcelle really wasn't there when the whole thing was, about like not to mention certain things. And then Sutton jumps in and she whispers, she's like, well, it said not to, to talk about anything like that, involving Erica's issue. And then, of course, Erica was just waiting for her moment because Erica jumped in like the blue Power Ranger that she was. She was like, okay, time to fight Sutton now. And she's like, no, you shut the fuck up over there. You shut the hell up over there with that bullshit of you don't want it to be around me because of your reputation, you small town bitch. And I'm like, damn. Like, Erica, why are you so upset about it? And Sutton was caught off guard so badly. I mean, you could tell that she was like, she jumped. And she does that creepy ass white woman laugh. She's like, and she's twitching and everything. She has that laugh that, oh, you may think you're gonna curse me out, but I'm 2 seconds away from calling the police and they're going to arrest you. And then as soon as Erica snaps on her, she goes back to Crystal. She's like, please continue the conversation. I'm like, just curse somebody out on the side and just continue the conversation casually. And then, of course, she hears Sutton laughing and she's like, yeah, continue laughing with your bullshit. And then Sutton is like, yeah, don't take that out on me. And she's like, what? The bullshit that's coming out of your mouth? And she was like, no, your problems. I'm like, ooh. I'm like, I know Erica cried into a pillow that night. I mean, Sutton's laugh was enough to kind of like, provoke Erica to get all pissy and stuff. But I wish that Sutton would have done a little bit more, but I feel like she took a page out of Crystal's notes, because Crystal was dragging her all at the beginning of the season. And, Crystal also did that laughing thing to Sutton's face, to piss her off even more. So I guess Sutton took the, the much more relaxed route, the more like, I'm not really gonna fight with you or stoop to your level because you're already probably go to jail and you have too many issues and my life is great and I'm rich and you're not. So I'm just gonna laugh at you. So I feel like that was kind of like a slap to Erica's face and maybe that's all she needed to do. But I kind of wish that Sutton would have stooped to her level just a little bit, just gotten a little bit petty and got her hands in the dirt a little bit and actually went toe to toe with Erica just once. But, maybe we'll see it next week when they're sitting next to each other at the dinner table again, because I'm like, Sutton, you had all that mouth and all that energy and all those crazy ass antics for Crystal for like 5 episodes at the beginning of this season. But now with Erica, you're threatening lightly and it's kind of like you're walking on thin ice with her. But again, maybe you just don't want to stoop to her level because you already see that she has so many issues. And I was just waiting for Dorit to jump in and call Erica a bully. I mean, you were so quick to use that word for Garcelle and label her as a bully, as if none of these women here attack each other on a daily basis, season after season after season. And then Erica's over here about to like, throw a drink or whoop Sutton's ass, but you don't say nothing to that, right? You don't say nothing to Lisa's behavior or Kyle's behavior or anybody else's behavior. But no, you have to point it out to Garcelle that she is the bully. Like, Dorit, that was your moment right there to kind of back up what you were saying, you know, at least with that bully word, and actually called the bully, who is Erica, a bully, but you didn't. And then the last slick comment that Dorit managed to jab at Garcelle with, and she's like, I really do think that you're a smart person. You know, I really do think that you're a smart girl. And Garcelle's like, don't pin any of this on me. Don't blame me for any of this. This is all you're doing. And I'm just like, again, I'm trying to see your point, Dorit, but I don't see it. It's really just going over my head because Garcelle has not done anything wrong to anybody. Like, she really has not done anything bad to anybody. And when she has spoken things, she has never lied to anybody. She has never talked shit behind anybody's back. She has always addressed everybody individually to their face or within a group, but it has been to their face. And I just didn't like that Garcelle was kind of like forced to tell Dorit, like, okay, well, next time I'm going to be direct and tell you to her face, when that's all she's been doing this entire season, being direct and telling everything to everybody's face. So I'm not sure what's going to change because that's what she was already doing. So I'm not really sure what Dorit was trying to really get out of this. And then we end the episode on this random scene between Kathy and Kyle. And I'm thinking, there was no more footage at the dinner. I'm actually surprised they showed the entire dinner scene, to be honest, because I thought they were gonna show it at the very, very last 2 minutes of the episode and then hit us with a to be continued, but they showed us everything. But I'm like, we couldn't just end it on the note over there. I mean, there was no other footage. What happened after the whole issue between everybody at the dinner table? There was nothing else. Like, nothing else happened between Eric or Sutton, but instead we got this scene. And then Kathy reveals to Kyle, like, wait, what are you talking about? Who said fuck you? Who said what? And then they show the flashback. And while Garcelle and Dorit were going at it, we see in the background that Kathy's just putting on her lipstick. She's just in her own world. I mean, I'm not sure if she purposely did that or she legit like just was not paying attention to anything. She was literally like, okay, I need to put on my lipstick. Okay, so who called who a what? Like, what? And then we get this little scene or this little flashback to a lipstick reader, which I have never heard of that. I mean, at this point, I've seen it all. Like, so they're psychics for everything at this point, because apparently this psychic lady or lipstick reader, whatever, judges you and knows stuff about your life and personal life based on how your lips look and how your lips are formed. And I'm like, what kind of scam? I'm like, you know what? If that's your way of getting money, then I guess, and people fall for it. But I'm curious to how that goes. And the lipstick reader basically stirred up some shit between Kathy and Kyle. And she's like, your mom is basically asking you, Kyle, to please don't betray her. And I'm assuming from the conversation that she was talking about the whole American Woman movie that Kyle made, which I had no idea that she even made such a thing, or that it was some type of love letter or some type of resemblance to her own mom. And Kathy feels some type of way about it because she's like, I just don't think that it painted out mom in the best way, especially the scene with her in the pool and then champagne and money all over the place. I really need to check this out because I'm not sure if it's a movie or a series, but it sounds interesting and I would like to see what exactly they were talking about. And Kyle's like, well, I mean, it was just with a grain of salt. And, you know, I guess that's just what it is because, of course, if her mom's life was boring or whatever, you know, of course, they're going to amplify the bad stuff a little bit more. You know, they're going to exaggerate certain scenes in certain movies or in certain shows to make it more juicier for the audience. But Kathy did not appreciate that, and they continue just reliving, you know, memories between each other and the whole thing with Kim and Kyle. And I'm like, my God, like, their relationship really does seem, or did seem, or I'm not even sure where they stand now, but it does seem very toxic. I'm like, what exactly happened between y'all so hard that it seems unforgivable at this point? What I would like to see is Kim come back to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills next season and have her, Kathy, and Kyle all together to see, you know, where that goes. But again, I don't know if that would be the best idea because we know on reality TV, it could, you know, go down a dark side and then it might make it even worse, especially with cameras in front of you. It might amplify certain behavior that doesn't need to be amplified. But I would like to see how that will work out. At least, you know, have a one-on-one sit-down conversation with Kim and Kyle to, you know, try to make everything fine. Because I'm not sure even now, as Kyle is talking, where they stand with everything. And it was so sad to see Kyle and Kathy both crying in the confessional. I mean, so far we haven't seen Kathy really show too much emotion out there. You know, she's kind of just been like this disty blonde person. And Kyle has just kind of been face expressions. So it was nice to see Kathy actually, you know, show a much more vulnerable side to her because she says that she misses the time that her and Kyle didn't talk. She misses just spending time together. And I'm glad that they're at least getting to spend time together now. Being too messy, being two messy women on this show. So it just goes to show you that you can have all the money and all the power that you can ever want, and you can still feel like a little bit of emptiness or a little bit of alone deep down inside from those around you, you know, especially your family. And that was the episode. I mean, Dorit, you did not make yourself look any better than you have the last 2 weeks, and I'm pretty sure next week we have another dinner table scene that you're gonna be sitting at, and I'm pretty sure you're probably gonna put your own foot in your mouth for the 4th time in a week. But anyways, y'all, let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Let me know what y'all thought about everything that went down, and let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.